It's time, John. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
Welcome, everybody, to SwitchSelect.com. This is the Switch Select podcast. My name is Switch. I got Switch with me here, and we're talking about the Nintendo Switch. I'm going to say Switch.
I was here to talk about the PlayStation VR. What are you talking about?
God damn it, John. Get on point. Get on message.
I haven't had a chance to talk about it, motherfucker.
Yeah, hey, everybody, welcome. It's me, it's John, and if you're one of those people who's just fucking sick of hearing about Nintendo, too bad. Maybe skip forward a good 15 minutes because we are going to start this podcast off. Thanks in perpetuity and forever and a day to my friend Michael, who went out and waited in line for like 12 hours or more to get me a Switch.
Michael is an awesome dude.
Yeah.
He's also the person I got my dog from. So
well, there you go. He's helping out Rage Select in so many ways.
He's an awesome dude, and he's one of those guys that he's cool.
I forget. I've forgotten in a lot of ways, but I was just gonna every video that we made on the Switch was gonna be brought to you by my friend Michael, who got the Switch. Anyway, so I got one of these motherfuckers, and I've been playing it pretty hardcore over the past week, 6 days or whatever. Mostly Zelda, but some other stuff as well. And I've got some thoughts on it that I would like to start by talking about.
That's good, because I have none.
You have zero
thoughts, because I don't own one.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I want to say is that I got the version that has the blue and red Joy-Cons.
Is your OCD going crazy?
No. Actually, I like it more. I didn't expect to, because I don't necessarily like the tone of the colors on the controllers.
The neon.
But I realized the other day that if they were both gray, it would actually be a little bit more difficult, like when I had them separated, to just be, okay, because I know immediately which one goes on the left and which one goes on the right.
Oh, okay.
So, but anyway, so for anybody who's been living under a rock, Nintendo Switch is the new thing
it's the new hotness.
It's all the rage. All the kids are talking about it these days. It is basically a tablet, which is also a game console. And I feel like it's been kind of contentious, John, that there are a lot of people out there who are just shut up, or I ran into a guy at a bar the other night, and I was talking with him about the Switch, and he was like, why would I want to buy a console that doesn't do 4K gaming? And I feel like a lot of people fundamentally, and I don't even know if I understood this until I got it, but don't understand what this is. This is not a direct competitor. The Nintendo Switch is not a direct competitor to the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One.
And Nintendo said from the beginning that it never was supposed to be.
But I feel like that's one of the things that a lot of people are very much pissy about, it doesn't look as good or blah, 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 blah. But it's essentially a 3DS that you can dock and put on your TV. And considering how good Nintendo has been over the years with their handhelds, which I consider to be the best handhelds out there, and the best thing that Nintendo has put out in years. The Wii, I never really cared much for the Wii. The Wii U, I thought had potential, but they just kept fucking themselves, and they wouldn't put shit out, and they didn't sell enough of them, and et cetera, on down the line.
Yeah.
But the 3DS, on the other hand, has been a fucking fantastic console. If you're mobile gaming, 3DS is where it's at, especially the new one with the head tracking and everything. So I think of this as not necessarily oh shit, Nintendo's doing their same old thing of trying to compete with a I don't feel like this this is not a direct competitor, as I said before, and it's its own thing. It's David S. Pumpkins. It's its own thing.
That's the thing, is that Nintendo has been claiming since the Nintendo Wii that their consoles are their own thing, that they are not competing with Microsoft and Sony. Yet everybody out there is no, they are. They're saying they're not just to cover their asses, but they totally are.
Yeah.
No, they haven't been competing with them forever. And if it fucking hell, man, it took this long for someone to realize it. It's oh no, them saying we're not competing with Microsoft and Sony. Oh no, I guess they actually mean it this time.
Okay, well, let's be clear. It was obvious that the Wii was not competing with Microsoft and Sony. But when the Wii U came out, pre-PS4 and Xbox One, it did have more power than a PS3 or Xbox 360, which even today, the PS3 and the Xbox 360 are not shitty consoles.
No, they're not.
The problem came in this thing, and this is, I'm jumping the gun for a point that I want to make here. Okay, so I feel like there's a lot of people who are just oh, look at Nintendo's lineup, it's so weak. There's only got 3 games between now and Christmas, Zelda, Mario Kart, and then the new Mario game or whatever.
Yeah, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 other games.
There's a few others. There's a few others.
The punching boxing game, Arms, or whatever it's called.
Fucking whatever that is. But I feel like this console is a great way for Nintendo to hit the reset button on a lot of things, and the thing that I feel like is very, just because we don't know like all the games just because when I go to the GameStop page and there's only like a dozen games for the Switch between now and Christmas does not necessarily mean that there aren't going to be more games on it.
Correct.
Now, that is complete conjecture, and I want to be real clear here where I'm not like I've been doing a lot of pissing on Nintendo over the last year, 6 months, whatever, right?
Yeah.
I like this thing. I like it a lot because it's a tablet and it's a portable thing, but I can also connect to my TV. It is what I like about Nintendo, doing something crazy like having a real honest-to-God tablet that also connects to my TV, that has like a solid control solution on it. It's what I've wanted out of mobile gaming since mobile gaming started, right?
Okay.
However, if they do what they did on the Wii U and fail to entice enough third-party developers to put stuff on this thing, that will be the death of the Switch like anything else.
No.
If, on the other hand, this is more akin to a 3DS and they get developers to keep making good games and putting them out, we know there's going to be a Fire Emblem Tactics game. We know there's going to be a new Fire Emblem game. We know, it wouldn't surprise me if we heard about a Phoenix Wright. It also wouldn't surprise me if a lot of games get put on the Switch that missed the Wii U generation. And I'm not sure whether or not the hardware can handle it, but like, I really want to see how Skyrim runs on this thing.
Okay, yeah.
Because if Skyrim runs okay on a thing that I can take with me, that I can literally just pull out, take outside when I'm smoking. I took it to the bar. I took it to a bar where a bunch of people were, and we just, we set it up on the table. I put up Zelda. I was like, here, grab these things, play this. And they were like, oh, yeah, cool. Worked beautifully. The battery life, I know a lot of people have been carping about that. I haven't had that much of an issue with it. Like, I've actually had it out of the dock, sitting on my couch playing it, going outside playing it with my dog or whatever. Just like in the commercial. You take your dog for a walk, and then you stop at a bench, and you just... and it's been fine. It's not the greatest, but then I'm not attuned to... I don't expect a portable device to get, 12 hours of battery life.
Yeah.
So, but the whole point of this is... if they can get third-party developers to put games on this thing, I think it will be fine because it's catering to a specific market. It's doing a thing that other consoles don't do in splitting the difference between a dedicated handheld and a dedicated under-the-TV box. Yeah. And it is perfectly created for that. You put up the kickstand, take it out in the wild, just do whatever,
So, I will say, along that same point, it is interesting because, the Wii U kind of had some indie support, but not really.
Yeah.
However, apparently the support of the indie community of Nintendo going, hey, we want your indie games on our platform.
Sure.
For this has been, huge. They are just trying to get any and everything that they can.
Yeah. A bunch of, Neo Geo games came out today on it. But, yeah, and so that's really... A lot of the other thing that I feel like is a little bit irritating to me is that I've seen a lot of ire directed towards this console that is less than a week old about things that are not on it. And my position for that is I'll tell you right now, there are no apps. There's no Netflix. There's no Hulu. There's no browser.
It is coming, though.
Nothing.
It's just not out yet.
Yeah, that stuff is coming, but that also will make or break this thing because it's also a tablet, right? So if they put an e-reader on it or a browser or if I can use it like a tablet in addition to being a game console, fucking great. That's amazing. I would love to be able to do that. I also feel, though, that it's one of those things where I feel like I don't want to put no pressure on Nintendo to do this, but I also don't want to throw the Switch in a fire because 6 days after launch, Hulu isn't on it, right?
Yeah.
It probably should have launched with Hulu, but I keep thinking back to, the PlayStation 4 launch was interesting, but it was by far not a fully completed console at launch. It didn't have a lot of the streaming services.
I would even say it's some of the same things for the Xbox One.
Xbox One. The fact that this console launched with a game like Zelda, when the Wii U, what was the big Wii U launch title? It was Sports was one of the sports ones, or I feel like most of the time these days consoles don't launch with a gigantic game like Zelda when they launch. Like Sony didn't launch with Uncharted 4. Microsoft didn't launch with the new Halo game on there, like day one. Like you go and you pick up that.
Yeah, well, I know the Wii and that launched with Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
I want to say the Wii U did have something. I remember there being a big game. I just
like
can't.
New Super Mario Brothers, or
I think it was that. I just can't remember what the fuck it was.
Okay.
But I know like there was the Wii Sports or Wii U Resort or whatever it was, or the what was it, the
Zombie U, Nintendo Land. I think.
Oh, Nintendo Land and Zombie U.
I think New Super Mario Brothers U came out.
Oh, okay.
Pretty close, but in spite of all that stuff, like it had a kind of I don't know. I feel sometimes like I want to just say to people, all people, me, you, everybody, like fucking just calm down a little bit. It's been 5 days.
Yeah.
And like if in 6 months this thing doesn't have a good software library and a good games catalog, fine. If after E3 there aren't a bunch of things that are announced that are going to be on it, then yes, we could start hammering on this. But traditionally, forever, most consoles launch light. They launch with the console. I mean, when I got my PS4, what was it? Killzone, Shadowfall, and Resogun were like the things. I even forget what the Xbox One launch titles were.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like Killer Instinct, Crimson Dragoon. I feel like there was like one disc-based game that was pretty interesting, but
I don't remember.
Anyway, that's a thing that I feel like that people should just fucking lighten up just a little bit on this, and because I think this is Nintendo going in a good direction. Like I like them doing this because maybe the heart of this matter, and I'm going to stop talking about this because we got a bunch of other stuff to talk about, but maybe the heart of this matter is that over the last couple of generations, for me, Nintendo's home console systems have been too focused on a younger demographic, it seems to me. And that's not even saying that like, oh, they make games for babies. It's just that the games that they're making are very light, they're very colorful, they're very E for everyone, etc. Zelda's kind of dark, and I like that. Like, I like the fact that the monsters in Zelda, the Macablins or whatever, but like the big Moblins, like they're kind of, they're big and they're vicious and they've got skeletons that come out at night. Like there's wolves howling and there's a blood moon that comes out. Like there's all kinds of stuff in there that's a little bit darker. You fucking set a bunch of monsters on fire or like roll a rock down and blow them all up or whatever. And it's the whole thing is also kind of in this weird post-apocalyptic world where evil has won and you're trying to like fight back against it. And I like all that. Like I like that tone as opposed to the tone of, say, Skyward Sword, which was just like, yay, we live in a fucking bird society and like I'm gonna float down to the world. So if Nintendo is skewing a little bit more back towards a slightly darker feel for games and whatnot, that appeals to me. And if the Zelda is any indication, I really like that. Now, John, you're making a face like the no? Okay, all right. So I don't know. That's all that I'm saying is that if this is the direction that they're going to go, I feel like they've got work to do. For example, right now you can't save credit card information. So every time I go to buy a new thing on the store, I have to re-enter all my credit card information. Yeah. And not just that, but I can't even put things in a cart. So like I bought 2 games today and I bought 1 game and then I had to go back and then I had to enter in all my credit card information a second time. There's no save game like movement support. Like you can't back up a save game somewhere.
Yeah, they said you can't. It's
in fact with Zelda it's weird because I had a saved game. Like I manually saved, and then the game will auto-save over my manual save when I start a new game. So it's like I restarted Zelda 4 or 5 times to record and stuff. It's just there's some stuff that's missing here, and if that stuff gets implemented, great. And it seems like they're moving. I mean, every day that I'm 6 days in, and there's a bunch of new games out there. Blaster Master, which I'm a big fan of Blaster Master, came out, as well as these Neo Geo games. So if they keep putting stuff out, then I feel like this could be great. It could fill a niche in the kind of game ecosystem that's not there, which is a very professionally developed kind of iPad-ish style gaming platform.
Yeah.
So, but I like it. Also, the fact that it's only $300, which is not an insignificant amount of money, but you get everything that you need to play this thing for $300.
It sucks because like had it come out this week, I could afford to try to get one.
Yeah.
The week that it came out, I can't afford to try to get. I couldn't afford to try to get one.
Right.
But it's just like the difference a week, and like now, good luck. I mean,
Yeah.
Finding them for regular price and not overbloated someone scalping or whatever.
Some eBay shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump ahead. I had a couple of reports for the Switch, but we've already talked a shitload about it. I tell you what, we talked a shitload last week because they had the cinematic announced trailer for Shadow of War, Middle-earth Shadow of War. But this week we got a 16-minute trailer, and oh my God.
Gameplay walkthrough.
Yes. It was amazing.
It looked fucking good.
And you know what? I'm going to say this. This is my whole take on this, was that when Shadow of Mordor was getting ready to come out and they did this exact same trailer showing how the Nemesis system works, I was like, all right, WB Games. Like, you said this is how it works, but you just put together a vertical slice where everything was programmed to work the right way. And then it came out and it was like, oh, no, it all does work like that. Motherfucker, this looks great.
It does.
Like, are the main guy whose name I just cannot remember for the life of me.
Yeah.
He's now leading an orc army full of people that have been turned from the Nemesis.
And he has his
system.
own ring of power, apparently.
Yeah, I
Continuity
think,
be damned.
well, I actually think that the because in the the cinematic trailer, isn't the elf guy was the guy that was supposed to have made the ring of
Well, yeah,
power?
no. He made all the original rings.
Oh, okay.
But under Sauron's influence.
Okay.
But this ring is being made free of Sauron's influence.
Oh,
And
okay.
So now there's one ring to rule them all, or two, maybe two rings, maybe two. It could be two. Maybe you know what? Let's just go with two
to rule them all. Also, there's another one. I don't know what it does.
Yeah. So it's all right. Well, we're. But here's the thing. I'm okay with I
Dude,
joke.
You mangle this continuity as much as you want if I get to play this fucking game because of it.
As long as the game is fun and the story of the game is entertaining.
Yep.
Fucking be damned continuity.
Yep. I love the fact that in this trailer, like, he has his orc army that has his own heroes. I like the fact that the orcs have, like, personality. I mean, they did in the last game too, but like, they have personality, and he's got them all like kitted out like good guy armor a little bit almost, and they all have the whole video is the siege that just goes on and on. There's like a nemesis inside. There's one point where motherfuckers riding a dragon around, blasting on people with the dragon. Oh my God.
Yeah, I love the fact that you kill one of these people and then like he comes back, but like you're saved by like someone on your side.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's like the nemesis system isn't just for your enemies; it's also for your friends.
Yep. Because the guy that comes back is a person that was in your army but then betrayed you to go back to the Dark Lord, and it's like, oh my God, I fucking
And they're saying that all this is random. Like all this is it's based on your actions, so no two playthroughs will be exactly the same.
Yeah.
And there will be a lot of little stories that you'll get, like, oh, this person betrayed me and I'm gonna fight them, or maybe they didn't betray you. Maybe they've always been on the bad guy side, or maybe that guy killed one of your friends, your high ranking generals, and is like, I'm gonna kill you now.
No, I mean, I don't know why. I just don't know. I don't know if it's because of the good feelings that I have from the previous game, but this trailer just revved me up so hard. Yeah. Like when this guy that you kill, and not just kill, but like he pulls out that ethereal hammer, and hits him in the face twice, and then spins it around and gets that spike in his eye, and then he comes back, and I just fucking love it. Zooming up to that sniper, and he's just like, "Ah, gotcha!" And then there's like, bang! Like this fucking big old Sauron gave me a dark arm, and it's just like some guy with a crossbow shot him in the face. Yeah, fucking like when you're fighting when he's fighting that boss at the end, and then the guy with the warg rider comes in and like jumps on his back and is stabbing him, and like, I'm sorry,
if you haven't seen this trailer that we're talking about, you need to go look for it.
You need to go watch it. And
it's the gameplay walkthrough, official Middle Earth Shadows of War gameplay walkthrough from WB Games.
Yeah, it's 16 minutes long. It's great. I showed it to Amanda yesterday, who doesn't even have real much interest in any of this.
She hates Lord of the Rings. Well, I mean, mind you, she liked The Hobbit, the first Hobbit movie, but she has, for the most part, hates fantasy.
Right. And she was like, that was fucking rad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if this is the direction they're going, I couldn't be happier that this franchise is coming back.
Fucking yes.
This is the most exciting thing that I've seen in a
I'm
while.
excited.
Next up, slightly less excited, but No Man's Sky continues to be updated.
Yeah.
They've got a Pathfinder update.
Yes.
No relation to Mass Effect Andromeda's Pathfinder. Most certainly not. We're not cashing in on that name at all. But this is adding a few new things. It looks like it's adding a bunch of new housing things. It's adding a permadeath mode to the game where if you die, you're dead. It's adding some options to the picture taken photo mode. But what it's really adding is 3 land
vehicles to explore your planets with. No more are the days where you walk around aimlessly forever in any direction on a planet. Now you can drift, motherfuckers.
Yep, drifting.
Drift across that planet like it ain't nobody's business.
So there's 3 of these. One of them is is the buggy that can drift, and it's got wheels. One of them is like a little hover cart.
Yeah.
And then there's a third one that looks like a giant tank, but it actually has a mining laser on it, so you can like roll out there and mine stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the same thing I said last time. I'm impressed that Hello Games is continuing to try to better this game that was so poorly received.
Yeah.
And as I've said before, some may say it's too little too late, but if that's your attitude, would you rather just have them take your money and run, or would you rather have them try to make good? I mean, the fact that you can run into other people's houses that they've made, and that they can leave messages for you, and you can go into their house and interact with it. The fact that in survival mode, if your ship is shot down, it'll now crash on the planet.
Yes.
All this stuff is good, and if they keep doing updates like this, I feel like, I don't know, maybe by the end of the year they do like 2 or 3 more updates. It'd be like Final Fantasy 15. It'd be a game I actually want to play at
some point. They need to do a VR update.
Oh yeah,
so that I can play this in my PSVR.
Yeah, no,
yeah, that'd be the fucking tits.
That would be boobalicious. Yeah, there's also some new categories of ships and guns. There's like an A, B, C, S ranking for different things.
Yeah,
which is cool. Which is something that people wanted, right?
Yeah. And apparently you can also spec your character out to be like just an explorer or to be more fighter.
I think
based.
it's like if you equip things that are all in the same direction, like you get bonuses.
Yeah.
Like a set bonus. But yeah, they also added a bunch of like HDR stuff for the PS4 and a bunch of lighting effects on the PC version. So. Hey, the thing is, I don't know that if I didn't already own No Man's Sky, if this would be a thing to entice me to get it, but I already own this game, so if they want to keep making it better and give me an excuse to go back and play it every so often and see how it is now, and if they get to, it's kind of weird. It's almost like, I feel like people have already said this is nothing new, but that what they released on retail release day was early access.
Yeah.
And that they're now adding in the rest of the features that they wanted to have, and maybe they were trying to hit a deadline. But
yeah,
the other thing I just wanted to check real fast is, with these updates, how much the game is on Steam. Because I know that, I went back and bought it on the PS4, and it was on sale.
Yeah, I want to say you can get it for cheap, even disc, in store. I think you can get it for $20 or $30.
So it's $36 on Steam, which is not great, but it's less than 60. So yeah, I mean, if they keep doing this and it keeps getting discounted and adding more features, hey, you know what? At the end of the year, it might not be worth doing it. Now, if they do a third update and then they just stop all development to go on and move on to the next game, and we are able to then evaluate what the completed product is, and it's not great, well, then we'll say that. But I have to appreciate that Hello Games is at least trying.
Yes.
As opposed
I agree.
to
I agree.
Just working on the next one. So for the last 3 Rage Select podcasts, John, we've been talking about the new Overwatch character.
Yes,
Orisa. Is it going to be? Well, no, we've been speculating because we didn't. Right after this game, the podcast last week was released, they finally announced.
Okay, I didn't know if you talked about it last week or not because I wasn't on that one.
Yep. Yeah. No, last week it was here's Effie and her shopping list of parts.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Before that, it was here's her and here's a robot spider and blah, 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 blah. But no, we know who the new Overwatch character is, and it is Orisa.
It's a robot.
It is not just a robot. It's a robot horse lady tank.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the whole story on this, there's a little motion comic that they put out talking about how I feel like I'm on the wrong video here. Talking about how.
No, you were looking at the wrong video. You were just at the end.
Oh,
of
I was
it.
just at the end of it. I was at the end cut scene. So, all right, in Mumbai, they rolled out a bunch of these robots to try to keep the city safe. And the first time they went up against Doomfist, they all got punched to death.
They got fisted.
They got Doomfisted.
Wait, that may not be the right term to use. Never mind.
So this electronics genius young girl, Effie, is like, I see your potential, and puts it back together and then gives them a personality and then makes this new Orisa bot. And this is quadrupedal. It's in the tank category.
Yeah.
And let's see, what are the abilities? They have a shield that can be deployed.
Yeah.
Which I don't think any other character really has. Symmetra has
Winston.
the moving. Oh, Winston has a shield, but it's like that globe.
It's
This
a
is
globe,
like
but yeah, this is just
like a screen that you can put up that has hit points. I feel like it maybe has a little bit more. It has more hit points than Winston.
I think it does. Yeah.
She has a chain gun arm that can get like there's a one ability where you hold it down and you get a damage reduction, and then a damage reduction from any damage taken. And then what are the other ones? There's like there's a bomb that will draw people, like suck other characters. I think it's like a grenade that sucks characters in towards it and then explodes. And then her ultimate is I believe it's like you put down a thing that gives everybody a damage boost in the area, kind of like Symmetra's shield. So we looked at a little bit of footage last week of this character being played. Seems cool. Seems like a good addition. I'm hoping though that this is the Anna to Doomfist's Sombra.
Most likely, yeah.
As you've been saying to me for weeks, John.
Yeah.
So, but it's great, and again, it's great to see Blizzard continuing to put work into Overwatch. They also put out a whole server browser thing last week or whatever edition. So this Orisa is currently on the PTR, not in the full game.
Not on consoles yet.
But yeah, great. All right, so let's see here. John.
What?
I hear you're a fan of a thing, and that thing is called Fire Pro Wrestling.
Fire Pro Wrestling is the fucking greatest.
Okay, so last week there was an announcement for Fire Pro Wrestling World.
I'm excited because the last Fire Pro Wrestling, which was released on the Xbox, was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with Fire Pro Wrestling. It was an insult.
So I read an article about this, and there's a few things I have to ask you. Fire Pro Wrestling apparently is like they don't have licensed characters. They have like kind of like fakey versions of those characters.
Yeah, the faux versions, yeah.
Okay. One thing I wanted to ask, how do you feel about the way the graphics in this game look? Because they look
good.
They're kind of weird looking to me.
They look like all the Fire Pro Wrestling games.
Oh, do they?
That's kind of how they've all looked.
Okay.
I mean, they look better.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've all kind of looked like this. And the great thing about Fire Pro Wrestling is its customizability.
Okay.
There are like literally hundreds of different types of match types. You can have exploding barbed wire matches, where basically the ring ropes are replaced with barbed wire, and they explode when you run into them.
Nice.
And here's the thing: that's a real thing in Japan. But like, you can set up cage matches. You can customize the ring. You can customize your own characters, so you can make characters that look like real life people.
Okay.
Like that's the big thing that everyone loves about these games is that just the customization is better than any other game, and also the fact that it's kind of the style of the way the game looks that you're talking about that makes it look weird because it's so not as detailed, because it's a little bit more simplistic.
Yeah.
It makes that customization so much easier.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't know if you just saw that right there. That was the barbed wire exploding.
Oh yeah.
Barbed wire death match.
Okay.
But it's great, so I'm excited. It's coming to fucking Steam Early Access first, so when that comes out, Super Awesome Video Game Show is going to fucking cover it.
Sorry, John, we got another thing we got to look at that week.
No.
We got another thing.
No.
I can't.
It's going to happen.
I can't just make everything about wrestling on this. This can't be WrestleSelect.com.
We play wrestling games once a fucking year, Jeff. I will give up. I will give up whatever the next WWE 2K game is for us to fucking cover this.
Okay. All right. Wow. That's some real passion, dedication to the Fire Pro Wrestling series that you got there. Okay. And so this is coming to PS4 and PC, and from Spike Chunsoft.
Yeah, it's coming on early access first, and then
Q2 of this year.
Yeah, and then they said probably about 4 or 5 months after, like, because they want to use the early access to get the online good.
Okay.
And everything.
Did the last one have online multiplayer?
So the last real Fire Pro Wrestling game was actually Fire Pro Wrestling Returns on the PS2.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There was another Fire Pro Wrestling that was released on Xbox, the Xbox 360, that used the fucking Xbox avatars. It was fucking garbage.
The little big head dude?
Yeah. It was fucking garbage, Jeff.
You don't have to tell me twice. That shit was garbage.
Yeah,
it was.
but it called itself Fire Pro Wrestling, and it was like So here's the other thing about Fire Pro Wrestling, and this is the thing that actually drives people away from it.
Okay.
Is it does have a very steep learning curve when it comes to the controls.
Okay.
And that scares a lot of people. But it's...
Are you saying it's the Dark Souls of wrestling games?
No, because you at least know how to control the characters in Dark Souls.
Oh, okay. Are you saying it's more inscrutable than Dark Souls?
A little bit. But so that tends to turn people away.
Okay.
But once you actually understand the basics, like, it's actually super in depth.
Okay.
And it's like I said, it's literally one of the best things. Like, I still own my copy of Fire Pro Wrestling Returns for the PS2.
Yeah.
Because it's so fucking awesome.
Okay.
And like I said, the Xbox 360 version was just like fucking clown shoes.
Okay.
And everyone, when it came out, everyone was like, "My God, a new Fire Pro Wrestling! What the fuck is this shit?"
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing. But yeah, so
okay. So you're excited.
I'm excited for
Ready
this.
to go. All right. Cool. All right, we got a couple more stories, and then we're going to close it out. I'm going to skip a few of these. I love stories like this, John.
Yes,
absolutely. So last week, Ghost Recon.
Does the story have anything to do with Taco Bell?
No.
Oh,
unfortunately.
Okay.
Last week, Ghost Recon Wildlands came out. Yep.
Yes.
Takes place in Bolivia. Bolivia's been taken over by narco terrorism and has become a lawless place where, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Bolivia,
the actual country,
it doesn't appreciate being portrayed as a narco state where fucking drug dealers take over the entire government and they're so spineless that they just let them run the place, and that you got to send in a bunch of United States soldiers to liberate your country, boy.
See, that's why I was a little bit weirded out when I found out that the game takes place in Bolivia.
Yeah.
Like, it's not in, like, Folivia, it's in Bolivia.
Right.
And I was just kind of like, that seems weird. Most game companies will create a fake country that is akin to a real place.
Sure.
To
avoid just this thing.
Yes.
Yes. So apparently the Bolivian government has filed an official complaint with the French embassy, La Paz, which is, Ubisoft. It's a French company. This isn't like this isn't a lawsuit or anything. This is just Bolivia being like, we don't like it, and we want it on record that our whole fucking country thinks that you guys are shit. So fuck you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's funny because I think the last time that I remember this happening was Rainbow Six Vegas, and then the city of Las Vegas being like, no. Our casinos are not being taken over by terrorists and having to be shot up. Like, no, just no and no and no. So that's interesting, and just chalk up another what the fuck is wrong with you, Ubisoft moment, because there was this game is so fictionalized, there was no reason not to be like, this is El Palidora, or fucking like some Just Cause bullshit, right? Like, make yourself a fake country. Nobody cares. Nobody was like, where does it take place? Oh, that's not a real place. I'm not going to buy that game. Fuck that game. Like, nobody cared, Ubisoft. You're just driving around at 300 miles per hour, running into llamas and crashing helicopters. That's what the game is about. It's the way I play that game.
Yeah.
So, last but certainly not least, speaking of Just Cause, did you see this news this week?
I think I know the exact news you're talking about.
Jason Momoa, Khal Drogo, Aquaman, and fucking Chewbacca from Stargate Atlantis himself is being cast as Rico Rodriguez in the Just Cause movie. And again, I could not be happier. That is some good shit, because I don't feel like Jason Momoa gets enough credit. I think that dude's a good actor.
Yeah.
I think he should be like on a Jason Statham level action star. kind of guy.
What's funny is this is kind of funny. I like Jason Momoa. I think he is just like you. I think he's a very good, talented actor. I think he's a very I think on the level of Jason Statham caliber level.
Yeah. Like you're not going to cast him in.
And I remember
figures, but,
like going to the theater, and it's kind of funny because like I forgot about it until it popped up on my like X amount of years ago feed on Facebook, where it was like, I was like, I'm going to see this movie, Collateral Damage, or whatever the fuck it was called, which was a Stallone movie. It may not be Collateral Damage, maybe it's something else, but I was like, what the fuck is this movie? I've never heard of this movie. Like, I'm like, I thought I remembered this. Like, I'm like, I don't remember going to this movie. And I was like, Amanda, do you know what this is? She's like, I don't fucking know. We went to IMDb. Oh, it's that movie. That's a Stallone movie with Jason Momoa as the villain. Bullet to the Head was the name of the movie. Sorry, it was Bullet to the Head. I don't know why I was thinking Collateral Damage. Bullet to the Head. And I'm just like, oh, right. We went and saw that partially because Jason Momoa was in the movie.
Yeah.
Because we were hoping that was going to be the movie to catapult him into that Jason Statham level of action hero thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Just Cause... I am a little bit worried. Like, I think that Just Cause is the perfect franchise to make a movie out of because the plot is so who gives a fuck that you can literally write whatever. It could be like The Transporter or like, what's that dumb? The Mechanic, any of those dumb Statham movies where we don't really give two shits about who he is. We just want to watch him get greased up and beat up a bunch of people.
The Mechanic's a weird one because that's actually based on another movie. That's actually a remake.
Yeah.
And it's not really an action movie. And even the first Mechanic movie is not really an action movie.
Yeah.
The second one is totally a BS Jason Statham action movie.
Yeah.
And that's so weird to me.
But I don't know. I would love to go to the theater. I think this is great. I feel like when the first trailer comes out, I'm just going to start catching big whiffs of that Need for Speed movie. Also, speaking of Need for Speed, if you have not done so already, I cannot emphasize enough, stop this podcast, go to YouTube and look up the Fate of the Furious trailer and watch it. It is the dumbest and most amazing, awesome thing I've ever seen. It looks so fucking stupid. I can't wait to put it into my face holes. By that, I mean eyes. Anyway, that's all the news we have for this week. There are a couple other things. Microsoft's developing some kind of dumb VR thing and blah, blah, blah. But those are the big stories, and I mostly just wanted an excuse to talk about the Switch for a little while. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we are going to answer your questions. So stick around, and we'll see you in a minute. And we're back again for more podcast in action, and we are answering your questions. mail@rageselect.com is the email address. I wonder if before we answer questions, just briefly, I don't know that I'm ever going to be able to do a full-on review of Zelda. Like, I plan on beating it, but it's probably going to take a while because it's so goddamn big. I wonder if I should give some impressions. What do you think, John? You don't want to know anything about Zelda?
No. I don't care.
Tell you what, let's just move on to the questions real fast. All right, our first question this week comes in from Daniel, and Daniel says, hello, Jeff and John. We can always go into long rants about technical issues or technical limitations in games that piss us off. However, I want to flip it on its head and ask y'all this. What technical issues or limitations do not bother you as much as others? For example, I don't have a problem playing at 30 FPS instead of 60 FPS as long as it stays consistent, and I'll laugh at times when the physics glitch out. Thanks for the laughs, Daniel. So this is an interesting question because I feel like it goes back to a little bit of us talking about the Switch earlier.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Is there anything that you want to lay out? I feel like you and I are
I'm kind of the FPS, 30 frames, whatever, as long as it's consistent, as long as it's not like dropping to like 1 frame per second every now and then.
Yeah.
If anything, that was the big thing that irritated me about Fallout 4 is that there were times where it would drop to like just fucking terrible frame rates at times.
Yeah.
But then but it's like if you can give me a game, if it's consistent, hell, I'm not even huge on like super high fidelity graphics and everything. Like I don't mind that either. If the game just looks pleasing to the eyes, and is at a crisp, constant frame rate, whatever that frame rate may be, I'm fine with it. Also, the occasional physics glitch sometimes humorous.
Oh yeah.
I remember getting a lot of laughter out of the glitch that I found in, what was it, Mad Max, the video game, where it's like literally it had like a little tornado thing that had like popped up in one spot, and it just literally threw my character around like a rag doll, like clearly something that it should not have been able to do, but it's just like my character got caught up in it and was just spinning in air and like doing all these weird flips and shit.
Yeah.
I thought it was fucking hilarious. I even shared it on my Twitter a long time ago.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I feel like for me, it comes down everything, and this is maybe a chance to talk about my own personal philosophy about video games. Every single thing for every video game I've ever played, there's things to nitpick here and there about story, about graphics, about sound, about the menu structure, or how long it takes to load, or blah, 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 blah. If it's fun, I'm willing to overlook a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like Fire Emblem on the 3DS is not the world's greatest looking game. I mean, it's a portable title, right?
Yeah.
But the game is fun as shit, right?
Yeah.
I know plenty of people who have great love for N64 games. Like, people, they still haven't come out with like a crazy remastered version of Ocarina of Time for a home console, but I feel like people will still go back and play that, even though it kind of looks like garbage now. But there's nostalgia for a lot of stuff. What is there?
I mean, there was a re-release of it on the GameCube.
That you could buy?
Well, it was a thing that you got through like a special like Nintendo Club thing, and then also there was another version of the same game that also came with the disk drive level thing, levels for it that you could get if you like pre-ordered one of the GameCube games. I think Wind Waker. I have both of them, so I've played them. So
but in all honesty, it's. I think that the reason that we talk about the things that we don't like is because, I don't know, I'm just, after playing so many games over so many years, I'm just not bothered. If a game is fun, I'm not bothered. I know a lot of people get bothered by the price to hours to play, the amount of time. The things I think that bother me more than anything are bad checkpointing and long load times, and as long as you can get around that, or even poor performance in certain places. But I'm not even that sensitive to a drop frame here and a drop frame there.
Yeah.
And I actually think that's an advantage, because I know, back when we were talking more about, I don't even remember what brought up the conversation when you and I were talking about frames per second and the 30 frames per second versus 60 frames per second, and you were very vehement about, fuck you, unlimited frame rate, PC Master Race people or whatever. But
yes.
I feel like if you could only play a game that runs at that frame rate, then you're just missing out. You're missing out on a lot of games that don't do that, because that's like one of your primary concerns. But for me, it's just whether a game is fun. There's games out there that have bad voice acting or unwieldy menus or whatever, that if it's fun enough, that will overtake it. In fact, that was a conversation that I feel like I was having with somebody about, does Zelda deserve these 10 out of 10 scores? Because it does have a few problems. It's not the greatest frame rate in the world, and there's some issues with some of the menu stuff. The cooking can get repetitive over time, and et cetera, et cetera. But if the good parts of the game are really good, they can, as far as I'm concerned, they can make me forget about the bad parts.
Yeah.
So to me, how good the game is really overrides anything else. I'm sorry, I feel like I could.
No. You're fine. But no, I was gonna say, like, look at games like Frog Fractions 2.
Yeah.
Or whatever its actual name is.
Glittermint Grove.
Or another game like Love, or where it's like this retro pixely, very minimalist, very like old school graphics.
Mm-hmm.
They're fun games though. Like like Love is a platformer. It's really a lot of fun.
Stories Untold that Amanda and I played.
Stories Untold, that was another one I was going to bring up.
Yeah,
like there's like those. Like if you honestly look at those games, like I can't play that because it needs to be fucking Unreal Engine 4 with highest graphics, and I need to be able to see the pores in the people's faces in 40K, and it's only the best computer or best console can play it.
Yeah,
then you're fucking missing out on some really great games, man, because those games are fun as shit.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
They're worth checking out.
Yeah. You're starting to do a little side head bob there.
Yeah, I was.
All right, our next question this week comes in from Drew, and Drew says, "Dearest Jeff and fabulous John, I've been loving the Alan Wake sequentials and how much crap you give to Alan. It's really hard to sympathize with that guy sometimes, and that led me to ask, what are some of your most hated protagonists? Even if you are forced into the shoes of the main character, that doesn't mean you have to like him or her. For me, it would be Vincent from Catherine. I couldn't stand his whiny scenes and horror-stricken animations when he was, gasp, forced to choose between two beautiful women. My dream ending was that they teamed up to kick the crap out of him. Thanks for all the hard work, and long live the rage, Drew!"
Yeah, I didn't like that guy either.
Oh. I
already know one of your answers.
Yeah? Do you want to spoil it for everybody? Give it to me. What do you got?
Infamous Second Son.
Damn right. Damn right. Fucking hate that whiny little shit. God damn, do I not like. Actually, I went back and forth between liking him and then disliking him and then liking him and then disliking him. And at the end of the day, I was like, nah, I just don't fucking like this guy. I just don't fucking. What was his name? God, I gotta look it up now.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
It's on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, Infamous Second Son. Did not like that protagonist. I don't know. What are some other ones? Garen Malik, the Star Killer, is kind of a shithole too. I don't really like him all that much, especially in the first game. He's just so like, man, I'm not fucking evil.
Well, it depends on how you played him, but yeah, sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Delson. I just remember Delson Rowe. Is his name. God damn, fuck that guy.
Trying to think of other characters you just didn't like. Well, I mean, we all know that I couldn't get past Trevor from Grand Theft Auto, but
yeah.
That I feel like that was for different reasons. Like you weren't supposed to like that character, so
yeah. I don't know. I felt like he was supposed to be kind of like a charming asshole, and it sounds like the charming part didn't outweigh the asshole part.
I didn't feel like there was anything charming about him.
Yeah.
There was no charming to that.
God, I just had one.
Trying to think.
Squall. I do not like Squall in Final Fantasy VIII. I think that emo little wretch, he's fucking shut up about how he's all just meow, 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 I'm Squall, meow, meow, meow. Like, fucking shut up.
Squall Lionheart. That's right? Lionheart?
Leonhart, yeah.
Leonheart?
Yeah. Which it's good that Jennifer isn't here because she has to put up with that every time that I'm just like, yeah. Also, I'm going to go out on a, well, I don't know if this is, I can't tell because I don't know the temperature of the internet. I'm also not the biggest fan of Cloud in the world.
Yeah.
He's just a fucking Zack ripoff. Zack's the best. Zack rules, man. Like, and Cloud just fucking copied his whole thing. Oh, unlikable characters. I'm just looking at my games. I'm actually standing up and looking at my games.
He is.
80% of the people in Until Dawn can go fuck themselves. Like, I know that it's kind of supposed to be that kind of unlikable teenage douchebag thing, but like, wow, I did not like a whole bunch of them, especially in the beginning where it's just like, did you see what she's fucking wearing?
I really like that game, though.
Oh, yeah, it's great. And don't get me wrong, I don't like them, and so it's like super satisfying when they start getting murdered, except that I feel like when we played it,
no one died.
I was good enough at the quick time events, and we stumbled into the right decisions to keep most of the people alive right up till the very end of the game. Aiden Pierce from Watch Dogs is a bland pile of manila paper.
Yeah, that's another one. I didn't really like him, but he was so bland that it didn't bother me because there was just nothing to him.
I'm just looking at my things. Connor from Assassin's Creed 3, don't care for him. That's not so much a hate so much as we're talking about just like so bland, and I didn't. No, that's not true. I don't like Connor because his dad. Who's his dad?
Kenway.
Yeah,
not the other Kenway, but the
kept like just grinding him into dust philosophically whenever they had a conversation. I was just like, yeah, this guy does kind of suck.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of.
I'm trying to think. I'm just looking at my games here, trying to think of anybody else that comes to mind. Halo, I don't have enough in. Quantum Break, Gears of War.
It's also weird because like the more I think about it, the more I realize that when I play a character, like I don't like if I don't like a character, I just ignore them.
Yeah,
like I just play the game and I insert my own story of their personality over what the game is telling me.
Yeah.
So like with Aiden, like even though I didn't like the character because he was so bland, a lot of his personality that I remember for the game is stuff that I know for a fact that I made up in my own head because I just fucking didn't care.
Yeah.
Because it was my way of making the character likable in some way.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I honestly,
I got one more, a character that I shouldn't like. Oh, like let me. I didn't hate, but I had like a 20% hate for fucking Barry and Alan Wake. I just like,
I know, yeah.
God damn it, Barry.
I love Barry. Barry Wheeler's fucking.
God, I'm Barry.
Great.
Fuck you, I'm Barry. But I was
Come on,
Al. A character that I shouldn't like but do like is every incarnation of Patches in the entire Soulsborne series, because he's like their Sid. He's in every game, and he's always a douche who screws you over, and I always forgive him for it. And I don't know. There is a truly great moment in Dark Souls 3 with Patches that I can't wait to one day show to somebody. I don't know. Probably you. Anybody else you can think of before we move on?
No, I can't.
Okay.
I have a hard time thinking of characters that like that.
All right. Ryan writes in and says, greetings once again, Jeff and John. After listening to the previous podcast, one question another viewer asked really stuck with me. To review, they asked, is waiting 10 plus years for a game like Kingdom Hearts 3 or Final Fantasy 15 worth it? I'd like to elaborate on this a bit more as I have my own thoughts. I was interested in Kingdom Hearts series for years, but inevitably gave up hope for Kingdom Hearts 3 after so many years of nothing. After doing some research, I present to you a theory on why Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 have such long development cycles. The problem is Tetsuya Nomura himself. From what I've seen, he's more of a character artist rather than a game designer. He focuses too much on the look and style of the game rather than an actual story or gameplay. What are your thoughts on this? Thank you in advance for countless hours of entertainment, and that's from Ryan. I'm going to look up what he's done, what Tetsuya Nomura has done. But I feel like this...
I don't think that's far off.
Yeah? You think so?
Yeah.
Let's see. He's made a fucking... let's see. Okay, graphics. Like, he was accredited in... This guy's at least been around Square since 1991.
He's been in a lot of things, but usually he's been a...
Let's see,
like I said, a character designer.
Character designer, director, Final Kingdom Hearts 2.8 HD, producer. Let's see. I'm just looking for anything that has director. Okay, Kingdom Hearts Unchained, the iOS Android game. Director, Kingdom Hearts 2.5. Yeah, director. So it looks like he's just been director of all the Kingdom, a lot of the Kingdom Hearts stuff.
No, he has been the Kingdom Hearts guy since the beginning.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing: is that I get the impression, like, I feel that people to go back a little bit to the previous question, that I'm not. I expect Square Enix games to take for fucking ever to come out.
So here's the thing. I actually get the feeling that it's not just I'm a character designer, so therefore I focus more on the look of things more than I do the story.
Yeah.
I feel like his problem is he's a perfectionist.
Okay.
And he'll start working on something, and then technology will improve to the point where he'll realize he can do something else, but to do that something else, he has to scrap a good portion, if not all of the work that he had done previously.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, no, I want to do the something else to make the product even better, and so we'll basically keep scrapping what he's already worked on and have to start over from scratch to the point of, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, that's what happened with 15, is that they kept fucking scrapping the game and restarting it, that they eventually handed it to somebody else.
Yeah. Well, the other thing to note is just if you go to his Wikipedia page, it's not like there are 4 games on here.
Yeah, no, there's a ton.
It's not like after Kingdom Hearts 2 that he just stopped doing stuff. And
Yeah, no, he's
a
busy dude.
I mean, like even if he's not director, like Dissidia, 012 Final Fantasy, creative producer character designer, Final Fantasy Type 0, creative producer character designer. It seems like he's had fingers in every single game that's come out in the Final Fantasy franchise. So if that's the case, and he's the director of Kingdom Hearts, I mean, fucking Jesus, that's a workload right there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but
I do even know that the for Kingdom Hearts 3, he's even gone on record of saying is that they'll be working on it, and then some new Disney property will come out, and he'll be like, I want to include that in the game.
Right.
So then either they then have to look at it and go, okay, well, how feasible is it to add that property to the game?
Yeah.
If we add it, do we have to remove something else? Do we add it, create a whole new mess of problems? And literally that's been the big thing, is that he keeps wanting to add more to it.
Right. And I the only experience that I really, because I don't keep up with every one of the Kingdom Hearts things, but when you talk about a perfectionist, I mean, like, I'm used to having Hideo Kojima say, I'm making a game, and go, wow, that's amazing. I can't wait to play it in 5 years when it's finally done, because it takes him forever to do with things, because he's also a perfectionist and will go back in and like scrap stuff. But I like the end product so much that I'd rather wait for a good game than get a crappy game quickly.
Yes,
so
I agree.
All right, we got one more question coming in this week, and this one is from Daniel, who says, hey, I think Daniel wrote in twice this week, but I didn't have that many questions, so...
Good job, Daniel.
Hey, Jeff and John. I'm sure this one's been asked for, but here it is anyway. If you were able to have one real-life event represented in a video game, what event would you choose? If you can't think of a real-life moment, you can pick from one from a fictional universe. Thanks, and take care, Daniel. So, one real-life event that you would like to see in a video game. I feel like anything that would make for an exciting video game would be kind of crass, like, to put in from real life.
I don't know if there's anything like in my life that I would put in a video game. Maybe the time I went to WrestleMania. I mean, that's that's a real life event.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about anything here, though, right? Not just like things that happen to you.
Oh, no. Okay, so he's talking about anything in real life.
If you were able to have one real life event represented in a video game, what event would you choose?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought he was talking. I thought it was like real life event in my life, and I'm like, I don't know. What?
I don't live a life that would work for video games.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry.
A really shitty version of The Sims where my sim keeps drinking. Like.
Yeah. Sorry. Real life event that would be
interesting to see in a video game. I mean, like, I'm thinking, maybe it's a thing where so many video games are based on violence that I think that I don't know that I would like to see like a real world. I mean, maybe like some old events, like the stuff that they put in like Assassin's Creed, right? But maybe I'm not thinking far enough back in history. I don't know. I'm going to go with fictional universes instead, because fictional universes are easier to put into video games.
I'm trying to think of real life events that haven't been in video games that I would like to see in a video game. Like that's also part of it, is like things that I feel like would be worthy to be in a video game.
Yeah,
kind of already are.
Yeah,
in some shape or form.
Yeah, I mean, World War II has pretty much been done to death.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And then, like you said, like Assassin's Creed's kind of got a lot of elements of historical stuff on it as well.
Yeah. This is a difficult question. I'm trying to. I don't know. I just got done watching that OJ thing. Like, yes,
you want an OJ video game?
Let's put the
for it to be like a Phoenix Wright style thing where
no. First, it starts with a really slow car chase, right? Where you just have to drive behind the Bronco for like a few hours, and then you have to cover OJ with a sniper rifle, but then not actually anything happens, and then from there it becomes a Phoenix Wright game. Where you have to get him acquitted, and then from there the perspective shifts over to OJ, and then it's like Grand Theft Auto, but he's in Miami doing all this crazy stuff. No, I don't know.
And then he gets arrested and goes to jail.
Right, and then you get arrested at the end, and then it becomes a prison
simulator.
The Escapists.
Yeah, the Escapists.
Yeah, and that's the future, is where OJ Simpson has to break out of prison, and
at some point he writes a novel.
That's true. Yeah. What a crappy video game. Nobody wants to play the OJ video game. I tell you what would make a great video game from a fictional universe. I tell you what would make a wonderful game from a fictional universe. I don't understand why somebody doesn't do, John, is everything. Everything from both John Wick movies would make for an excellent video game, and I would like to play a video game that was a John Wick video game that was not some Payday bullshit or some VR bullshit, but just like a fucking over-the-shoulder, cover-based shooter where I could do a bunch of Keanu jumping, shooting, blasting, fucking weird facial hair, stab somebody with an ice pick, kind of stuff.
Okay.
Which I just don't understand why they won't. It's a perfect franchise, but then did they make a transporter video game? What was that video game that they made with Vin Diesel that was a driving game?
The Driver.
Was it the Driver? Or was it the Wheelman?
Wheelman.
Wheelman?
I mean, there was a game called The Driver that was kind of like that.
Okay.
The Wheelman was another one. Yeah.
Is that the one where you can like juke the right stick and your car will just slap other cars around?
I think so. Yeah.
Why don't they make another Pursuit Force?
Oh my God, Pursuit Force was so good on the PSP.
Pursuit Force was a really excellent game. Anyway, I'm sorry, we were veering wildly off topic. I'm just trying to think of any real world events. It might be interesting. I mean, like I feel like we don't see that many like Roman video games. It might be interesting to see kind of like if they had something like Battle for Middle Earth, but it was with like super gritty kind of Roman soldiers going around doing their Legion bullshit thing.
What was that Xbox One game? It was with Crytek or whatever.
Rise. Was that what
Son
it was
of
called?
Rome.
Yeah.
Wish that had been better. I mean, it wasn't a bad game, but I wish it had been better.
I wish it didn't have microtransactions.
Yeah, I know that too.
That was some bullshit for a $60 game. Oh, was that a launch title for the Xbox One?
That was, I think, yes.
Okay. Coming all the way back around again. I don't know. I'm having a really hard time. Thinking of any actual historical event that I would like to see. Maybe I need to think of like good things as opposed to. So all I'm trying to do is like rack my brain of different like war type things. I do think that Vietnam would be a good video game setting that they don't cash in on enough.
Here's the thing. I will say the American Revolution, for Assassin's Creed, like I was actually really happy about that because I actually thought that was like an untapped the American Revolution or even during like the American Civil War, like decent, like good AAA game based on that, not because there have been some.
Man, the American Civil War would be an interesting place to put an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah.
Because the firearm tech is still low enough that you could get away with melee stuff, but then you've got, but I that would also be slightly tetchy for a French company to make a thing where like all of the Confederates are run by Templars that are tricking them into trying to
slavery and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, no, but wait.
They already did that.
Yeah. That game was actually really interesting.
Yeah, that was a good.
I always felt that game was better than a lot of the other Assassin's Creed games that came out around it.
I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
It was a DLC. It wasn't actually its own separate game.
No. There was a PSP game.
Yeah. With Aveline or whatever the fuck her name is. Yeah.
That was a really good game. That was cool because she could change outfits, and the outfits were you could go different places. Like if you were dressed as a slave, you could go into places and blend in with the other slaves that were doing things. And if you were dressed as a lady, it's like you couldn't do any of the platforming, but you could like walk into society parties, and so you had like two weapons when you were a lady. You had like a parasol that had like a little spike on the end of it or whatever. You could like stab people with. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. You got anything?
No, I mean,
I'm just kind of petering out.
Yeah,
here,
we're petering out.
All right, well, let's wrap it up then.
Sorry for not being able to answer your question.
Yeah, mail@rageselect.com is the email address. Write in, tell us something, ask us a question. We need questions, and obviously we need questions. So write in and let us know. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll be back next week in the same Rage time, same Rage channel with the Rage Select Podcast.